interest of time and everybody's schedules, why don't we go ahead and get started? We can certainly continue to let people in as they join us. We got Connie and Katie in the background doing letting people in and making sure we're good to go. So we'll go ahead and get started. First and foremost, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. We're glad you've come to join us for another BLD summer webinar, Why Clients Choose You, Winning Work in a Competitive Market. For those of you I haven't met, my name is Cody Nurnberg, and I'm the president of BLD Connection. I'm going to be introducing our speaker for the session and keeping an eye on things in the background while the program takes place. Before we begin, I do want to take a minute to thank our sponsor, LBM Advantage, for once again sponsoring our summer webinar series. LBM Advantage is one of the nation's largest member-owned buying cooperatives serving independent lumber and building material dealers. By combining the purchase power of more than 500 dealers and 1,500 locations across the U.S., LBM Advantage helps members secure competitive pricing and access to hundreds of manufacturers and suppliers. In addition to buying power, the co-op also provides market intelligence, product sourcing support, industry expertise, and business programs, helping independent dealers strengthen profitability while maintaining their independence. Once again, we are very grateful to our friends at LBM Advantage for their support of BLD, all of our programs, and our events. A couple of quick housekeeping notes before we get started with Mark. This session is going to run approximately 45 minutes. Attendees are muted, but you can put your questions in the Q&A box. We'll address those at the end of the program. Certainly, if a question pops up that is relevant to what we are talking about at the time, I will jump back in and pause Mark, and we'll get that question answered. We will be sharing a recording with all of our registrants after the session, so feel free to eat lunch, pay attention, but also we'll have this out to you after we are done. Let's dive in to our program. In today's competitive market, winning work isn't about being the lowest bid, it's about being the best choice. In this session, you'll learn how LBM dealers can differentiate themselves, build trust with clients, and position their value in a way that wins more profitable projects. It is my pleasure to introduce our presenter and dear friend who we've worked with in the past, Mr. Mark Hunter. Mark, also known as the Sales Hunter, is a keynote speaker, author of Integrity First Selling, and co-host of the Sales Logic podcast. He helps sales teams win business without discounting by building trust, strengthening customer relationships, and creating value-driven strategies that drive sustainable growth and lasting competitive advantage. He's worked with leading companies in the building trades industry for more than 20 years. And once again, we are completely honored to have Mark join us here again this afternoon. Mark, thanks again for being here, and the floor is officially yours, my friend. Have fun.
Hey, thank you so much. And we're going to dive in. I'm going to share with you a number of experiences, a number of things I've had working with other dealers around the country. I'm going to share with you probably what I'm finding is the number one secret for any dealer to be able to grow their business. We've been implementing it across a number of others around the country with incredible results. So let's get rolling here. Hey, I've had the chance to write a number of books. Well, let me figure out how to click the, there we go. But no big deal. If you want to see more about my website, there is a QR code there. But hey, you're probably sitting there saying, okay, Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter, what was the guy's name before that? Let me tell you something. And I share this for a very specific reason. I was not born a salesperson. Sales was the last thing I wanted to do. It wasn't even anywhere close to being on my radar screen. I finally got to college, and that's where I found my calling. My calling was the police department. The police department is what put me into sales. The reason being is because I got 4 speeding tickets in the course of about 6 weeks, and I could not afford insurance when I got out of college. That is how I wound up in sales. So you talk about somebody stumbling their way into sales. That's me. In fact, the first 2 sales jobs, what happened was, I got 4 speeding tickets, couldn't afford car insurance. I had a car payment, no reason I got the speeding tickets, and I had apartment rent. So I had to cut something out. That's how I wound up in sales, because I needed to find a job that supplied me with a car and driving around to dealers, selling to dealers around the West Coast. I was so good at it, I got fired from my first job. Got a second job, got fired from that one. It wasn't until my 3rd job that I finally figured out what sales was all about. So, hey, isn't this great that you're listening to somebody who clearly did not want to do sales? But anyway, let's dive into it. Here's the challenge we have in our business. Too many of us We really have this feeling that our business is a rain barrel, that it just is. That's, you know, we collect the business that comes to us. We get people who are calling us up looking for quotes, looking for prices, and we kind of take the business. And that only gets us so far. That only gets us. It doesn't get us far enough. We have really got to shift that thinking, and we've really got to become rainmakers. We have got to go out there and find business. Because again, if we just wait for business to come to us, every time a new competitor, every time a new dealer opens up, and I got to share with you, I was working with a chain of locations. They had about 30 locations around the Midwest, and it was very interesting. But they had a great business, but suddenly they found themselves with two new competitors that were coming into the marketplace, opening up new locations around them. And suddenly they realized that their business had been built off of being a rain barrel versus a rainmaker. So we had to come in and kind of reinvent the whole thing. And how do we do that? How does that happen? Well, first of all, it starts by really looking at sales from a different perspective. Like I said, I was not a born salesperson, but I've learned to appreciate sales, because really what sales is, it's leadership. You're just leading your customers. And I want you to be proactive in leading your customers. It's too easy for us in our business um, to just quote quote the price. This is what they need. And again, that's the rain barrel. We've got to be the rain maker. And what this means is that we've got to really do what it says right here, that sales is leadership and leadership is sales. We've got to lead our customers. So how do we go about doing that? How we go about doing that is by helping our customers see what they didn't think was possible. Now, stop and think about that. We've got builders who are coming to us, and we've got people who are coming to us, and we've been supplying them for, and this is their standard production. This is their standard building process. This is when they're doing a project. We've got to be proactive. We have to be proactive in getting in front of them with new ideas, sharing with them new ideas. Do we challenge their thinking? Yeah, we can even challenge their thinking, because again, you've earned the right to. You've been supplying them, right? And even those who you aren't supplying, when somebody calls you up and they're looking for a quote, let me tell you something. If they're looking for a quote, what are they looking for? They're just looking for the lowest price possible. And I can't build my business off of low price. I really can't. Low price may create cash flow, but it's not going to help me grow my business, because somebody's going to come along somewhere and they're going to service them cheaper. And I'm going to lose that business. This is why I got to be proactive in understanding their business, understanding. And one of the ways we do that is what I call CFT, customer facing time. And I'm going to get into a process as to how you do this. But right now I'm working with a number of locations across several of the southeastern U.S. states. And one of the things that we're doing is we're taking their major accounts and we're segmenting them. What is their key business model? And for some of them, what we're finding is that their key business model is all about, hey, they really don't want to have any more skilled laborers than possible. They want as few skilled laborers as possible. So we've naturally begun trending towards that. We are recommending to them complete build out options that allows them to minimize the use of skilled trades. They still got to use skilled tradespeople, but not as many. We've got other accounts that we've talked to, which are very much advocates of skilled trades, and they want to. But the challenge there is that because you're dealing with various skilled trade groups, it's always scheduling. So I got to make sure that that supply, that we don't, oh, we're out of that. You're not going to get that till Monday of next week. Well, hold it. I got these guys coming on the job site tomorrow. That's not going to work. So in other words, by understanding each customer and what their business model is, and the type of customers that they're selling to. It helps us. I'll give you, this is kind of a, I don't want to say it's a crude example, but it's kind of a funny joke that some builders build homes to sell. Other builders build homes to live in. And it's a completely different process, completely different process. We got to understand this. To the builder who's building homes to sell, they're naturally going to go with the lower end fixtures. They're going to go with they're going to go everything on the lower end possible. And it's just get this thing built as rapidly as possible. Man, as soon as we get that foundation in, let's go. Let's start framing now. Somebody who is building a home to live in is going to be much different. So the orders that they place are going to be more spread out. And this is absolutely imperative that we understand this and we treat them differently. You see, what it comes down to is this. We got to focus on outcomes. We have to focus on the outcomes that the customer is looking for. And many times, to help us understand this, what we have to do is we have to go look at their customers. We go look at their customers. You know, you may have a number of customers that are doing commercial build outs. Great. Who are they doing the commercial build out for? You may have customers who are doing medical, or maybe it's data centers right now. Data centers are hot. Many areas of the country, every area of the country is hot with data centers. What do you know about them? Take a moment to begin asking yourself this question. What do I know about my customer's customer? Because again, if I can understand something, if I can just learn one thing about them, now what does this do? It allows me to have a conversation with them. Hey, I see you're building in this area, and these are the customers. And you literally start asking them questions. Now, you know what's funny is they may look at you like, man, where are you coming from? But you know what? They're going to respect you for it. They are absolutely going to respect you for it. And as a result, they're going to be seeing you in a different light. Because here's the whole thing. When I focus on the outcomes, I'm able to shift the conversation. I am able to shift the conversation because you may have a solution. You may have a different type of wood that you want to supply them, and different type, whatever it might be, that's going to help them minimize their labor by 6 or 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours. What's that worth to them? What's that worth to them? If they're juggling a number of different projects at the same time, right now we are in the midst of the building season right now, and so they may be juggling half a dozen projects. How can we help them in terms of getting what they need on the job site, or are they coming in? How are they doing that? And again, I'm going to share with you a technique here in just a bit that has proven to be absolutely fantastic, especially during the season right now that we're in. But what it starts with is I got to really understand the metrics. The metrics. What is important to each customer? And I'm going to challenge you to begin finding out what is important to each customer. Every one of your customers who comes in, nobody's just buying stuff. Nobody's calling you up saying, hey, I need a quote on this. I need this bid. I need this. Just for the sake of it. There's a project. What's that project look like? And where are the challenges? And ask them. Don't hesitate to ask them, hey, what are the biggest challenges you think you're going to have in getting this project done? What's going to be the biggest challenge? Ask them what it is and make a note of that. And then begin to come back and ask yourself this question. What can I do to help them through that? Because what it may be is that their metric might be based around something as simple as their whole objective is to use as many skilled laborers as possible. Or maybe they're a union shop and they're doing a union. I was just having lunch a couple of weeks ago with a contractor who is a union contractor, and as a result, he gets a tremendous amount of schools, tremendous amount of government locations. And for him, the number one savings for him was, how do I minimize labor? And it was ironic because the next day I was talking to another gentleman, very good contractor. This was out in California, and he was non-union. And it was interesting, but his whole value of labor was totally different. And as a result, it changed his sourcing. It changed how, he did not hesitate in the least bit. He says, oh, we're a little bit short here. I can send some guy over here, to this location, to this dealer, to pick it up. Not a problem at all. No big deal. Hey, if he's gone for 45 minutes, it's okay. To the union one, it was, hey, we're short of this. How quickly can you have it delivered? You see, understanding the metrics of what drives each individual customer. Like I said, I get to work with a number of dealers around the country. And a number of them that I've known is what they've done is they've set up a delivery mechanism, kind of a 2-hour delivery, almost call it pizza delivery. And it goes out of their way, but here's what they found. And this is an idea that you can think about. They only charge $30 a delivery. That doesn't cover cost at all. Doesn't even come close to covering cost. And when they put it in place, they were a little bit afraid. But they put it in place on the recommendation of some other people who they had been working with. What they found, because they were afraid that, this $30 delivery, it's going to wind up being that, hey, can you deliver a, $23 gallon of paint? Can you get 2 8-foot studs? No. What happened was the average order for a 2-hour delivery it has been coming in at over $500. Coming in at over $500. Suddenly I said, wait a minute, we're not losing money. Okay, we're not making great money because we're probably paying $75 to $100 on this particular delivery. But the feedback that they're getting back is these customers are absolutely loyal. They're absolutely loyal to them. Because now, wait a minute, if you can deliver this in 2 hours, you can take care of everything else. So begin asking yourself, what are some of those metrics that you can look at? Funny side story on this. Had a guy who said, yeah, the only reason I don't use your 2-hour delivery sometimes is because I got to run by Quick Trip and get lunch. So we were joking, in the branch, maybe we should just supply the product and a couple of hot dogs. So anyway, okay, let's get serious here. And I want to walk you through. This is going to be the number one technique for you to grow your business. Have 4 numbers here: 5, 25, 100, 1,000. I want you to identify your 5 best customers. Identify your 5 best customers. Then you're going to identify your 25 next best customers. And then you're going to identify 100 customers. Let's not worry about the 1,000 right now. The 5 customers. These are customers that you do a tremendous amount of their business right now. In fact, you could say that, you know what? We get all of their business except when they're not in our area. We just can't deliver to them. Great, terrific, fantastic. These are outstanding customers. The question you have to ask yourself is, are you getting 100% of their business? Or are they still sourcing some stuff from other places? One of the things that I always find is that there's always a competitor who can supply something. But these are the 5 customers that, if you were to look at your total business, wow, they make up a big percentage of it. Here's what you want to do with these 5. These 5 people you want to make sure that you're having a conversation with every week. Every week, you must be having a conversation with them. Now, here's why. These are great customers. You can't afford to lose them. Chances are there's somebody else who's trying to get their business, whether it be by location, whether it be by selection, whether it be by availability, whatever it might be. But these are 5 customers that you've got to make sure that you own. Because again, if one of these customers goes away, it's like saying they get a head cold, but you can get pneumonia because they can be a big piece of your business. Chances are you've probably got a lot of your business consolidated amongst a few customers. So what I want to do is I want to do everything possible to keep them. But here's the problem. And I've seen this every time I work with a location in whatever trades industry I'm in. And we begin looking at the top 5, the top 25 customers. You know what's interesting is their margins tend to be less. Their margins tend to be less. Whoa. And I'll ask the people in location, well, they're just great people. They're so good. What happens is we almost treat them like family and we give them the friends and family discount. And you know what's interesting? They don't deserve it. Whoa, what did he just say? Yeah, they don't deserve it. Here's what I'm going to challenge you. These 5 customers make up a huge piece of your business. In fact, I was in one location in Georgia. We were looking at 5 customers, and when we actually began breaking down profit, 2 of the 5 customers they were losing money on. They were losing money on. Whoa, wow. Because what had happened was there were various price increases that came along and they just weren't passing them along, or they'd give them favorable treatment on this, give them favorable on that, and no issue on returns, no issues on credits, et cetera, et cetera. And 2 of the 5 they were losing money on. That's not a recipe for success. Yeah, you talk about being a rain barrel. That's being a rain barrel with even holes in your barrel. So what I want to do is I want to have 5 customers. But go back to what I said earlier. What's their outcome? What's their business model? Remember, their business model is not built around what they buy. Their business model is built around what they complete, the jobs that they complete. That's where they make their money. So what I want to understand, because at the end of the day, every customer we're dealing with has a couple basic things that they've got to get right. They've got to get supply. They've got to make sure that it's going to be available when you say it's going to be available. They got to make sure that the quality is there. They got to make sure that the invoicing is correct. They got to make sure, you know what they're paying for? They're paying for security. They're paying for the comfort that I'm not going to have to worry about my supplier. That's worth something. That's worth something. And for some of your customers that you're dealing with, whatever they buy, they're marking up anyway. They are marking up. Again, I'll never forget. I'm working with a dealer. This was a number of years ago. And we were talking to a couple of customers, and the customer even told the dealer, he said, I want you to take a 20% price increase on everything because it's going to increase my market to my customers. Well, yeah. Did we fall out of our chairs? Yeah, we fell out of our chairs. But see, it's that customer had a very unique business model. Know what that is. So these 5 that you have, you are zeroed in on them. You know everything about them, and you are talking to them every week. If it's not something about business, it's something relative to a hockey game. It's relative to what's going on at school. It's relative to baseball, football, whatever it might be. But you are talking to them every week because here's the other piece. They know you so well. And I used to do this when I was running a branch for a company. There were customers that I would call on Friday afternoons because Friday afternoons, it's kind of, we're getting to be beer 30 and guys are a little more laid back. And what's interesting is is I get, oh yeah, hey, thanks. Next week we got this job site. Can you take care of boom, 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 boom? And suddenly I'm getting orders for stuff right there just because I happen to call them. I just happen to call them on a Friday afternoon. And it's amazing. Make the call. And it becomes so easy because these are people that you're connecting with all the time. Okay, so that's the 5 every week. The 25. These are, again, 25 good customers who one day could become one of the 5. They could easily become one of the 5. I'm reaching out to these people every other week. Every other week, I'm making it a point just to reach out to them. Just call, hey, how's that job site going? How's that going? How's that? Hey, we got this and we got the, it just, but you got to be deliberate because if you are not deliberate, it won't happen. And the 100, these are 100 customers who, they've got potential. They could be, and I'm reaching out to them minimally every month, every month, every month. I'm reaching out to them. And what I'm going to challenge you in your location, have 3 pieces of paper right there. One with the 5, one with the 25, one with the 100. And you are literally checking off as you make those calls. Now they may come in. Great, terrific. They come in. Great. That counts. That's that call done. But I want to make sure that they are hearing from me on a monthly basis. And this is what's especially important on the 100. I'm asking them a question. I'm just asking them a question. Hey, how's this going? How's that going? I see we got a big new development going in on the north end of town, or this place is going to get torn down. It's going to get rebuilt. You're just talking to them about what you're hearing, what you're seeing, not sharing with them information that somebody shared with you confidentially. No, I'm not being a rumor monger, but I'm being helpful. I guarantee it. If you focus in on the 5, 25, 100, it's amazing. Now, what's the 1,000? 1,000 is because you've got probably a lot of other customers that just wander in occasionally. Great. Terrific. And out of that 1,000, there may be somebody who, they're kind of interesting. They're new to town. They're really up and coming. I'm going to keep an eye on them. So out of that 1,000, there may be half a dozen who eventually become part of your 100, part of your 25, part of your 5. Like I said, I've been talking about this a lot lately with various distributors around the country, especially in the Southeast United States, where I'm working with a large group and tremendous success. You put this into play and you're going to move your business. You see, what is it also doing? It's also helping you to realize that you're creating trust. Trust is the currency of business. The more conversations people have with you, the more they will trust you. It's just pretty simple. And don't sit there and say, oh, I don't want to call these people. Fine, send them a text message. I don't care. Just reach out to them. This is not about it's not about perfection. It's just about guy talking to guy. What's happening out there? But you got to be able to make those phone calls, have those conversations. Now, I want to spend a few minutes here talking about price because, man, I'll tell you what, we're getting some price increases. Every time I'm talking to somebody, hey, I just got price increase from this vendor, price change. And I want to spend a few minutes talking about this because here's what I'm going to challenge you with. You may get a 5% or an 8%, 9% price increase from a customer or from, a vendor, supplier. And your suppliers are doing the best job they can of trying to hold on. That's why I love our sponsor. They're trying to do the best job. But, increases are happening. What should be your strategy? First of all, get word out quickly that the price is changing. Let them be aware because as they're working out a job site, they want to know what are their expected costs going to be. The other thing that you have to ask yourself is, are you going to protect them on price? Do you have inventory to protect them on the price? What is going to happen? You understand those strategies right from the start. Don't wait till after the fact. I see too many guys, what they do is they get a price increase. Oh, well, I can protect you for 30 days. I can protect you for a week. I can protect you on this one. And then what happens is they run out of inventory. And now they got to replace that inventory at a higher price, at a higher price. And now we're like, man, now we're losing money, or our margins just got hit. If you are going to go into the price protection model, my recommendation is this. You only do it for your best of your best customers. And you tell them, in other words, it may be the 5 or the 25, and you tell them this is going to be the quantity that they're limited to. And you make sure that your inventory system has that logged. You've got to make sure that you protect yourself. Because I see too many dealers, too many locations losing too much money on price increases. Because really what I want to do is I want to make money off. Ooh, don't say this too loudly. I want to make money off the price increase. In other words, if I'm seeing an 8.5 or 9% price increase, I'm upping the price, not by the dollar amount, but by the margin. Never increase your prices based on the dollar amount. Increase it on the margin. Because otherwise what happens, if you increase it just on the dollar amount, your margin eventually slides. Your margin slides backwards. And that doesn't help you stay in business. I always say be aggressive and round up. Always round up. Now here's why. I'm protecting myself. I'm protecting myself because again, if I need to find a way to be as profitable as possible. Don't say, "Oh, wait a minute, you're screwing." I can't screw my customers because they're going to go elsewhere. I'll come back to that in just a second. If you don't increase by margin and round up, you're not going to have the money to invest in inventory. You're not going to have the money to pay people. You're not going to have the money to keep your location open. You have to, when you sit there and take a 3 or 4 or 5% discount, oh, I'll cut the price by 5%. That product still costs you the same amount. It still costs you the same amount. And you have just given up 30, 40% of your profit. This is why discounting is so dangerous. Now, let's come back to this whole issue where I said, hey, what happens? It's a competitive market out there. Yeah, I get it, competitive. So there are some core SKUs, some core SKUs that you got to make sure you're monitoring pricing. Fine, totally, I understand that. You got to be market competitive. I call it CMP, competitive market pricing. Competitive market pricing, I got to be there. But all these other SKUs that I sell, no. So I may be competitive market price on these particular items, but I'm going to be increased over here. And you know what? They're going to pay it. They are going to pay it. Let me share with you some basic principles around price. 1, never sell an item. Sell the solution. You're not selling X number of board feet. You're not selling X number of sticks. No, X number again. What? No, you're selling. This is going to help you complete this project. You always sell the solution because it's just a mindset. It's a mindset. If you allow yourself to be always saying this is the price per unit, it gets you into the commodity pricing mentality. Remember, the guys who are coming in and buying from you, they're doing a project. Sell the solution. This is why I want to know, what is it that they sell? I mean, what is it that they're attempting to complete? Number 2, know the total cost of installation, and sell the man hours. Yeah, because here's the whole thing. You may have different type of fixtures. You may have different types of equipment that you can sell them or rent them. That's going to allow them to do this. That's going to allow them to reduce man hours. You're going to allow, yes, you know what, we've got this. Yeah, exactly. Know how many hours, how many man hours it's going to cost. And this is where it really comes into play. Because if you can begin to understand what these guys are paying for their people, for their laborers, then you can really begin to understand. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was working with a guy recently, and they had a customer that had been typically buying about 8 or 9 pieces that went into a larger box. Uh, this was not lumber; it was in more of the building supplies over on the plumbing side. And the amount of man hours that they were spending was tremendous. So what he did was he built out a completed kit, put together a completed kit that he could sell them. And it's amazing, but the acceptance, over the top acceptance of this completed kit, because it dramatically reduced the hours. And what's funny is as he was building this out, he thought it was going to help him with his union shops. What he found was not only did it help with his union shop, but it helped him with his non-union shops, because his non-union shops tended to be people who were just not quite as skilled. And there was oops problems. And there was a lot of breakage. There was a lot of reworking. There was a lot of angst in trying to get the job completed. So he wound up having a solution. He just sold it differently. But yeah, knowing the total cost of installation, sell the man hours. See, number 3, time is money. Time is money. This is where this 2-hour delivery that I was telling you about earlier can be so valuable. This is where the after hours pickup. This is where whatever it might be. I'm working with a lot of locations right now that are putting in lockers, 24-hour lockers that people, because again, it sure beats putting it under the bush, right? I mean, how many of you ever had somebody, well, we'll put it under the bushes, or we'll put it kind of behind the truck over on the right side. And what they've gone to is they've gone to a locker system outdoors that people can access. The customer's paying for it. Time equals money. Certainty equals money. Hey, when they call you up and they know that you've got the inventory and you're going to be able to deliver, that is worth everything to them. Versus the person who says, well, I can get you 8 of these 9 items, but I can't get you the 9th. It's going to be a week. Certainty is worth everything. You can charge them for it. Don't hesitate to charge them for it. Service is money. Service. If they need help in terms of how they're going to pick up, how we're going to deliver, whatever it might be, maybe I've got to change my delivery route to be able to take care of that. That's okay. But I'm going to charge them for that. Number 6, never quote a price without knowing the need or outcome. This is where it's so dangerous, because we all get guys who call us up. Hey, I just need a quote on this. I just need this. Some of you have probably online ordering systems that'll crank out a price, and that's a whole separate issue. We'll go down. But here's the whole thing. I want to know, how's it going to be used? Because I may have a better solution for you. I may have a better vendor that I can set you up with, because you've typically been buying from this vendor, but we've got access to this other vendor, and the quality of what they turn out is far superior. Yeah. The confidence you exhibit reflects the price the customer will pay. We give up a tremendous amount of margin by just saying, so what do you think of these prices? Thoughts, comments? What's your take? No. When you say something, so hey, here's the pricing I came up with. What do you think? When you say that, you're automatically inviting them to say, hey, it's too high. You got to shave those price points. You got to shave that. No. You tell the customer what the price is. I had a large contractor I was working with, and they had a number of they had about 7 or 8 project managers that would do all the sourcing. And the guy who ran the project team, all of these project managers, he he told his guys, he says, hey, if anybody gives you a quote over the phone or in person or online, on a Teams call, Zoom call, whatever, and they can't do it with a firm voice, eye contact, and strong body language, there's a discount to be had. Yeah, go for it. It's amazing, but our body language, our voice, our confidence absolutely reflects the price. Sometimes you have to be prepared to not get the business. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Sometimes you have to be prepared to not get the business. And you'll shock yourself because you'll wind up getting it. Number 8, never ask about a price being okay. State the price with confidence. That just builds on what I was just talking about. You've got to be very careful. Whenever you're putting together a bid package for somebody, you've got to make sure that you put in there, this is the outcome you're going to get. Hey, this is going to help you minimize your labor. This is going to help you do this. This is going to help you do this. Now, you don't guarantee anything. I'm never going to guarantee anything. But I'm going to share it because, again, what this does is it does 2 things. 1, it helps you feel more confident about the price that you're giving. And 2, it allows the customer to see you in a different light. That builder, that contractor, that contractor is going to see you in a different light. And when they do that, it's amazing at what happens. Yeah. I've watched so many locations around the country when they absolutely put in just an absolute level of just focus on being committed on how they share their price and how it changes their margin. Because I firmly believe that more discounts are given based off of the weak beliefs of the salesperson than are given based on the demands of the customer. Number 9 builds on this again. The customer will never pay more than we tell them to. Ooh, yeah, yeah. They'll never pay more. Yeah. Now, does this mean that we go out with an artificially high price and we come down? And how do we handle that? I want to touch on this for just a second. We've got about 3 minutes left here. Yes, you can lower your price, but you got to take something off the table. You have to take. And typically what that means is it's going to be delivery. Yeah. I can lower the price, but I can't guarantee it's going to be there at that time. You have, if you lower your price without taking something out, you've just told the contractor that always push back on price because you're coming in too high. Always take something out. Number 10, you can't take a Walmart shopper and turn them into a Nordstrom customer. Oh man, I love this line because I'll tell you what, there are just some cheap builders out there, some cheap contractors. And you know what? Let them go somewhere else. Just let them go somewhere else. You're going to be better off. Sometimes the best business you get truly is the business you don't get. You won't convert the wall. I mean, I love Walmart. I was in one yesterday getting some stuff. And I like Nordstrom. Totally different business models. Totally different. Hey, here's what it comes down to as we wrap up here. The smallest of actions done daily will yield far bigger results than the big action. This is why I say you have that list 5, 25, 100. You have that list. If you do that every single day, it is amazing at the success you are going to have. Just do it every day. You see, what I firmly believe is the only good sales is the one that leads to the next sale. Yeah, yeah. And when I began treating you differently, when I began looking at you, when I began asking you questions, believe me, I'm going to be able to get more business from you. Okay, what's the goal from today's session? I want you to make that list 5, 25, 100. Maybe you can't get to that 100. That's okay. Just build out the 5 and the 25. But I want you to be absolutely deliberate with that. Hey, we're right at 45 minutes. I want to say thank you very much. If you're interested, I got 2 podcasts. One is called Sales Logic. The other is the Sales Hunter podcast. Love to have you catch any of those. You can get them on Spotify, Apple, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, the books. And most of all, I want to thank our sponsor. Thank you so much, LBM Advantage. What a group to help us with. Thank you so much. So with that, Cody, it's all back to you. How's that? I think we're right at 45 minutes, right?
You are very good with time. Thank you very much. Mark, we do have a couple questions for you.
Yeah, fire away.
So we asked the question, what time to, or I did a poll question, what's more important, price or service? And the overwhelming answer, although we only had five, was service. So if everyone claims to provide great service, how do you differentiate yourself? I think we hear that a lot, when we ask our members or when they're talking about, why are we better than Home Depot? Why are we better than so and so? It's always service, but how do we differentiate that? Any thoughts?
Yeah, two things that you do. First of all, is there's going to come times when you're going to be shorting an order. There's going to come times when you're going to be missing something. You got to let them know before the truck rolls. You got to let them know, hey, this is where we're at. Keep them informed of those changes. Two, what about those items that the customer wants that you don't stock? How good are you? How good are you are finding out where you can source them and how you can do it? Those are the two things that you can do best. Because if you can help somebody find something that they need that you don't stock, and you can say, hey, you know what? Give me a couple hours. Let me go find out. Let me find this. And I'll come back to you with when we can get it for you. And oh, by the way, when you do sell that to them, don't sell that to them cheap. Because again, this was a one-off item, one-off sale. You deserve to make margin on it. Next question.
Kind of a follow-up to that. So service, when we talk about service and we preach that is one of our big winners for our businesses is service, service, service. Any thoughts on how you effectively or actually measure your service or even the quality of your service in a way that your customers are going to actually value so you can take, hey, we sell on service, or we're awesome at service. Okay, what does that mean to me? What does that mean to Susie down the street that's working with you? How have you seen customers come up with a way to measure that service quality?
Wow, you just called out the elephant in the room. I have never found a way to be absolutely perfect on this because here's the thing. It is easy for us to over deliver on service. Oh, we're going to get it to you by 8 a.m. When really the contractor says, you know what, if you just get it to us by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but we changed our whole route delivery schedule just to get it to you by 8 o'clock. So that's a challenge. The best way to measure it is just what's the repeat business? Am I getting repeat business from you? And am I getting the requests on that hard to get stuff, that stuff that just, but that's the only way. But you know what? Is that truly totally objective? No, there is just no measurement out there because service is different to every single contractor out there. One contractor says it's good service, the other one's going to say it's poor. So again, it's hard for you to define it.
All right. Well, I think that's it for our questions. I'm just checking all of the chat boxes and Q&A boxes. We are good to go. Well,
Right.
Mark, once again, thank you. And thank you to all of our members for joining us today again for why clients choose you, winning work in a competitive market. We certainly hope today's session gave you practical ideas you can put to work right away, from avoiding the common mistakes that cost you opportunities to clearly differentiating your business. Once again, Mark, a special thank you to you for sharing your insights and expertise with all of us today. And again, thank you to everybody for their time, participation, and their thoughtful questions. We also want to extend one more time our appreciation to our friends at LBM Advantage for sponsoring this webinar, as well as all of our summer webinar series. We hope you'll join us again for our next summer webinar, Understanding the Tax Law and How it Impacts Your Business Valuation, coming up on July 9th with our friends from Stratus Wealth Advisors. Again, Mark, thank you very much. We appreciate you. We will see you soon. To all of our members, have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. It's almost Friday. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you soon, either on the road or on our next webinar. Thank you very much and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.